how you figure somebody will go and do 20 years, as soon as they get out of prison, they start back selling dope. They hooked. It's just like dope fiends. A dope fiend will get off of the dope, but as soon as they come out of rehab, they go right back. That's because they're addicted, and the game is absolutely the same way. So.
Real life. If that shit ain't real life,
it ain't real life. Just ain't real. Real life street stars. You know what time it is.
Real life street stars.
oh, we in here.
We in here. We got another one. We have to say this, man. You know, it's very few and far in between where we have real street stars that come through and sit down. And this is our second go around. You came to one before. We talked about the time of the book. We talked about your brother growing up in Texas. We went to LA, so we had a good conversation. But we definitely want to have you back, Rick Ross, for everything that's going on now, everything that you're pushing and moving. First and foremost, how are your spirits? How are you doing?
I'm good. You know, just left Tyler, Texas. They gave me the key to the city as well as my own day now.
Very dope. And that's why I want to have this conversation around the story of redemption. Because technically, for what you did and what you've been through, guys that have your same story that's probably still sitting in prison right now don't get to come out and get a key to the city their own day.
Yeah.
That's really what a redemption story is.
No question.
Say, I went through something, but I'm not defined by that era of my life.
Right.
So much more
Right.
So much more to give. So, first and foremost, how was that? Just for your hometown to be able to recognize it.
Unbelievable. I wasn't expecting that. I thought I was just going down and I thought I would be talking to the mayor and some city council members, about the way that they have to approach the community, the people who live like I live, There's a certain segment of our community that they just don't care, get it by any means necessary. And they want to know how to start addressing those individuals. And they called me in and asked me, what did I think about it? So that's what I thought I was coming to do. I had no idea that they was talking about giving me a key to the city or giving me my own day or, being a part of this big parade. And it was just crazy, man, unbelievable.
How do you address those people that don't care? Can you by any means?
Well, one of the most important things is that you can't be judgmental. You can't. When you read my book, you will see that I said you can't judge me because you never walked in my shoes. So you have to know what I've been through in order to understand how I became who I became. To understand why I'm doing what I do. So the first thing you have to do is you have to first try to understand and then be understood. But most of the time it's the opposite way. Most people want to be understood and they don't want to understand.
That's real. Now, you just came off of a dope interview with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And again, that interview's, y'all go watch that. Definitely a great conversation. But for you, was your back pushed against the wall to where you had to get it by any means? Because I remember in that interview you said that you really got into the business of even drug dealing because there were no jobs to get the kind of money you wanted. There were no jobs to get. No.
I would have took a job at McDonald's at that time. Before I had become addicted to the game. The game is addictive. If people don't understand that, how you figure somebody will go and do 20 years, as soon as they get out of prison, they start back selling dope. They hooked. It's just like dope fiends. A dope fiend will get off of the dope, but as soon as they come out of rehab, they go right back. That's because they're addicted, and the game is absolutely the same way. So,
what's the addiction? Would you say the rush of selling drugs, the money, the pain?
I mean, just all of it. To be able to support not only yourself but your family, the respect that you get. One of the things I told them why to quit selling drugs is so hard because nobody tells the drug kingpin nothing. Everybody kisses his boot. So there's nobody to tell him, hey, what you're doing is wrong. You need to quit. There's nobody to do that.
How'd you get to have?
Well, I started to see the contradictory in myself. And when I went in the dope game, I went in the dope game wanting out. You know, I never went in the dope game to become a career dope dealer. I was kind of embarrassed I was a dope dealer. You know, I never would have bragged about selling drugs like I see people doing now. You know, they actually brag about selling dope. I was like, that would have been the last thing that I would have wanted. I didn't want people to know. That's why I always dressed down. You know, I wouldn't wear fancy clothes. I wouldn't wear jewelry. You know, I didn't want the fancy cars because I didn't want people to be knowing what I was doing. And you know, you see somebody in a Rolls Royce, a Lamborghini, or something. Young black man, and they could be a football player, but the first thing they're gonna think is dope dealer.
So let's stay in that area right there because again, you know, it's a story of redemption, but we gotta touch on getting your hands dirty a little bit.
I don't have no problem with that. You know, you know, I tell people all the time, my dope career lasted only 8 years. You know, my new careers, you know, gonna be way longer than those, way more profitable. But we can go there.
So let me ask you, because, you know, I want to make sure we get the number right. Some people say there was times you were making $1 million a week, $1 million a day.
A day. I did that at least $1 million a day for 2 years straight.
And I think the most you said was probably like on the first, you might get 3.5 a day.
Yep, 3.2. 3.2.
And you're a man.
Then the day after might be 2. Yeah. Then the day after that might be 1.5.
How does a man who does not like to move flashy, what do you do with that kind of influx of money per day when you know you trying to stay under the radar?
Well, that's not profit.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Let's break it down because people think it's not profit.
It's not profit.
How much goes back into making
I probably made like 200 off of each million, maybe 300,000 off of each million, according to who came. You know, if somebody came and they bought 20 kilos, you know, I wouldn't make as much money as if the guy who only bought 1 kilo. You know, the guy who bought 1 kilo, I might make 15,000 off of just 1 kilo. The guy who bought 10, I might make 10,000 off of each kilo. So it varied to who it was coming buying the drugs. Mind you, with inflation, these numbers now might be like, oh, you don't make it 50, you know, but this is back in the 80s, to where that's a lot of money. So again, how do you not like floss? Well, I was more into buying businesses. You know, what my goal was I had a lot of friends who was just like me, who was out of work. Nobody would hire them. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna just buy businesses and hire my friends.
Have you ever been robbed at gunpoint?
No, I never been robbed. I was attempted kidnap robbery, but I managed to get away. Well, can you walk us through that attempt? Did they set you up or something? Yeah, it's in the book. No, it wasn't a setup. I was young in the game too. I was only, at that time I probably was only buying like 4 ounces, maybe 3 ounces. I was real small in the game. So one night, we were having a big party around the corner at my house, and for some reason I didn't want to be at the party, so I came around to my mom's crib, and somebody had pawned this Cadillac to me, and I parked the Cadillac on the wrong side of the street, and I was in the house just laid on her couch, you know, no shoes on, no shirt. It was a hot day, and I was just chilling on her couch, sleep. And she came in and she said, boy, I told you quit parking that car on the wrong side of the street. You just want the police coming over here. So she told me to go move the car. So I jumped up, don't put no shoes on, no shirt, just grab the keys, run over, move the car, and I moved the car on the right side of the street. So when I got out the car, at that time, we stayed right next to the freeway. So it was a tunnel that went from one street to the other street up under the freeway. So this dude and this chick was coming, and the dude called my name, and then I'm looking, and then I see the little chick was bad. And so I'm looking, I'm like, damn, who was that? And I knew they knew me because he called my name. So I allowed them to walk up on me, and when he walked up on me, he put the pistol to my head, and he told me to get back in the car. So I got back in the car, but you know, we had a no ransom policy. You know, that was our policy. We ain't paying no ransom. You know, we coming.
Even for the boss.
We come with them things, you know. When you come to pay the ransom, you know, them had them things with you. So so I got in the car like he told me to. Then he had the gun to my head, and he looked over the top of the car to tell the chick to get in the other side of the car. And when he did that, I grabbed his hand and started twisting his arm, and I was able to get at that time I had a little size on me too. I was buffing every day. So I was able to twist his arm. The gun fell on the ground, and so I had him on the ground. The chick picked the pistol up and started shooting. When she started shooting, I took off running, and that's how I got away.
You never seen who that was? They knew you, obviously.
Yeah, I never saw him again. We looked for him. I mean, because the police helicopter came, but we was still, you know, we was on him. We wanted to catch him, but we didn't find out who it was.
So there's all types of parts of the game. Did you have respect for every part of the game? The pimp, the jack boy. Did you understand their story?
I never really liked jack boys. You know, even though I knew, you know, a lot of dudes who did that. But I felt they was a threat to our industry.
Did you ever have any of them on your side?
No, I mean I know them because I grew up. You know, I grew up in Crip hood. You know, I grew up with the Hoover Crips, so you know I knew the ones who was jacking. But no, I wouldn't hire them. No.
Rick, I'm curious. At the height of the game, who was your main customers that was buying from you at the time?
Oh man, shoot, just about everybody, all the dudes in LA at one time bought from me from one time or another.
Was it at what race? I'm thinking like was politicians.
No. At the height, no. These were guys that I had literally groomed into being dope dealers.
Okay, all right.
You know, I kind of raises my competition. You know, I teach them how to sell dope. And I taught my guys how to sell dope. And some of them became my competition.
When you were in the game, what was your knowledge of like Frank Lucas, Nicky Barnes on the East Coast?
I never heard of Frank Lucas until American Gangster came out. I'd heard of Nicky Barnes though. At that time when I first was coming up, Tootie Reese was the guy, and I heard that Tootie and Nicky was cool with it. They was doing business. Also, Felix Mitchell out of Oakland. Those were the guys that, you know, Little Willie Kitchen. Those were the guys that was the man when I was coming up. Those are guys that Tootie Reese is supposed to be what Superfly was really, you know, he's the guy that Superfly portrayed.
Definitely. Now, did word come from the East Coast on how business was going on the East Coast, or we just focus on your...
I didn't really know much. At first, I didn't really know nothing about the East Coast, you know. You figure you got a ghetto kid, you know, had been on an airplane a few times from Dallas to LA, but other than that, I didn't even know nothing else about the world, you know. I had never heard of Houston, Chicago, you know, I didn't even know nothing about those cities, so my knowledge was very limited.
So I have to ask because, you know, the last time we did an interview, Snowfall was going into his last season. It hadn't started yet, but it was going into it. Now that it has ended, and I know you still haven't watched it, I'm assuming.
I watched one season.
So you haven't watched, did you watch it finale? How it ended?
No, I didn't watch the finale.
So
I heard about it though. I got a million.
Franklin Saint was strung out on, I think he became an alcoholic. Not even drugs, he just became an alcoholic towards the end. And kind of lost the money, lost the way. And it goes off with just him being alcoholic. To me, it's not a bad ending. Like, there's no prison, there's no nothing. Just 2 years later.
But that's a fantasy, though.
It's a fantasy.
I mean, I don't know. I don't even know why he would allow him to do that, you know, because I felt, from what I heard about the ending, I felt like it was kind of like a slap in the face of black people, saying that, you know, you do all this, you kill your best friend, and then you go out as an alcoholic. I thought was, you know, and it just portrayed more of this stereotype that Hollywood wants to portray us as. That's why my movie can't get done.
Right. The movie can't get done because of that.
Yeah, not by Hollywood. Hollywood could never do my movie because they would never want the black drug dealer to be portrayed the way I feel that that my movie should be portrayed. You know, I think my movie is more of a love story than a drug movie. You know, my movie should be about a guy who figured out how to make money, and he had so much love for all of his friends that he taught them the same thing that he knew, which was not a good thing, but he taught them what he knew, and he did it out of love, not out of trying to destroy the community or something like that there, like they try to do.
Right. So I'm just curious, if John Singleton and you did work on this show all the way through, how would it have, and again, we're just going to fantasy, this is loosely based on the life you live. How would you have ended it for a person portraying you, not being you, but portraying your lifestyle?
Well, I mean, if you ever get a chance, you got to go and read my business plan when I was in prison with a life sentence without the possibility. LA Magazine sent Jesse Catt up to my cell, and he was writing what he called my obituary. But what I know now, it was my business plan. Because I explained to him, with a life sentence, without the possibility of parole, I hadn't won my appeal, I explained to him what was gonna happen to me, and I swear I couldn't have planned it no better than what's happening right now. I mean, I just got the keys to a city. I told him in that article, and if you watch my documentary, you'll see in the beginning of my documentary, they played a tape where me and him was talking, and he asked me, do black people need a leader that's doing life in prison? And I told him I had the right to dream. And he was talking about me, telling him all the things I was going to be doing. I was going to be doing boxing. I was going to have a book out. I'm going to have a movie. We just hired the director for my movie 3 weeks ago. So we have our director now. The investors wanted the first thing they wanted. They wanted a director. Now we're going after a character. So Childish Gambino, give me a call, boy.
Yeah. We like Childish. We like Childish.
Hey, with Childish Gambino, $2 billion.
No, without question.
With my story and him together, $2 billion.
You need some extra investors?
I mean, you don't never get enough money.
We're gonna talk. So let me ask you, I was curious, if it was to be a movie about, let's just say, your prison sentence, you did 20 years expecting to do life without the possibility of parole, but then now you're sitting here, you know, living the best part of your life. But with that 20 years that you did serve, if you were to make a movie just about the 20 years, would that be a love story? What would that be?
Well, that was kind of, for somebody like me, I never really had been by myself. You know, I always had my little crew. You know, we rode bikes together, we skateboarded together, we played tennis together. So for me going to prison to be kind of like by myself for the first time, you know, around a lot of strangers, you know, people I didn't really know, was a little, in the beginning, was a little different, but I adjusted. You know, like I started a book club, you know, where we all studied business, how to make more money. So it turned, prison almost turned into my normal life, you know. We get up, we read books, we studying, we doing business in jail. You know, now girls are coming to see us, and the only thing was we wasn't having sex. You know, that was the only part of, I mean, it was days that I'd be like, damn, I wish I had more time today.
Right. And like you're in prison wishing you had more time.
Absolutely. I didn't have enough time some days. You know, I'd be like, I ain't ready for them to turn the lights out right now. You know, I ain't getting up early enough. I need to get up earlier. And you just got to talk to some of the guys that did time with me. They'll tell you. They'll tell you how I did it. I mean,
were you introvert going in or extrovert? Like when you talk, like before you went in, were you like a talkative person to like strangers?
No, I wouldn't take pictures. I didn't do, you know, I would never thought about doing no interview, you know.
Right.
Interview me about what? What's that camera for? I'd have been like Mike Tyson, smash that camera.
Really. Speaking of Mike Tyson, you said you were able to see some of his early fights.
Yeah. I went to the Mitch Green fight. I went to a couple of his fights. I had a girlfriend that drugged me into fights. You know,
So you did spend some money.
Yeah. I did. We too much money on fights. You know, when we go to a fight, we might spend like $50,000 just you know, for one fight, because you know the whole crew got to get suits and tickets and all that. But yeah, I went to the Mitch Green fight for sure in New York and saw Mike fight. Well, about 10 of us went. You know.
Did that start your love for boxing right there?
I don't have no love for boxing.
When I say love, I remember you had mentioned like you're not.
I ain't in love with boxing. I'm in love. I'm in love with the guys in boxing.
Yeah.
I want to see them win.
So let me ask you: were you fascinated by the business of boxing?
I didn't really know it was a business. You know, I didn't really understand it at that time. You know, like I didn't understand basketball. I didn't understand football. You know, I'm just a ghetto kid, man. You know, like I don't know nothing. Nobody. I didn't have no teacher. I ain't had no mentor. You know, I don't have no daddy. You know, my mama was, she was a maid, man, she cleaned offices and, you know what I'm saying, cleaned people's houses and cut yards and stuff. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't, she totally, you know.
So, were you a saver or a spender? Like,
oh, I don't really like spending money.
All right, so
because I don't like y'all clothes. You know what I'm saying? I don't care really for your car. I ain't gonna drink your liquor. I don't smoke your cigarettes. You know, I'm not gonna be giving you my money for something that I don't do, you know. But I took my money, I built houses, motels, car lots, junkyards, beauty salons, shoe stores, a phone store, you know. That's what I did with my money.
If you were making, let's say, $1 to $3 million a day today, what would you do with that type of money? I know you mentioned like the homeless problem.
I definitely would help with the homeless problem. I think that's something that needs to be addressed in a special way. Well, say for instance right now with my dispensary, you know, they predicted my dispensary gonna make like $30,000, $40,000 a day. So with $30,000, $40,000 a day, now, you know, I understand compound interest, I understand financing. So you take $40,000 a day, that's what, 280,000 a week. So you do that a month, that's almost $1 million a month. $1 million a month, you probably could go to the bank and borrow close to $100 million with the right credit score, you know. And my credit score is down right now, but it's only down because I've been using my credit cards. I've been using my credit card. You know, I use my, everything that I do, I finance with credit. Ain't nobody came and said, hey, Rick, here $100,000 loan, here $200,000, you know, go out and do your business. I ain't had that yet. So I've been doing it with my credit cards and, you know, and just grind and grit.
Yeah. So I have to ask because, you know, when it comes to investing, you have mentioned the shirt you have on, the Real Rick Ross is not a rapper. Talk about how that shirt kind of changed the trajectory of where you were going. Oh yeah, well you know, technically, you know, and my kid mom, she'll debate that, but technically we was homeless. We had somewhere to stay.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I had a friend and they were managing some apartments for this lady, and he said, man, it's a vacant apartment, y'all can stay in it. But we didn't have no paperwork.
Oh yeah.
Right.
We'd be gone any moment.
And they could have came over anytime they wanted to and be like, y'all got to get out of here. Y'all ain't supposed to be here. So I consider that being homeless. And we didn't have no money to go nowhere else, you know. So that was the state that we was in. And that's when I went on the Joe Rogan show and I didn't know who Joe Rogan was when I went on this show the first time. I never heard of him because I didn't watch TV. When I was in jail, I didn't watch TV. I didn't have time to watch TV. I used to get 100 letters a week in jail. I had 3 scribes. A scribe is, you know, a guy that sit there. They sit in chairs in my cell, and they would read my letters to me, and they would answer my letters for me, and I would sign them.
That's dope. Oh, that's dope.
That's the only way I can answer all my letters because I tried to answer everybody that wrote me. because I did credit. When I was in jail, I was doing people credit for them. I was showing them how to build their credit. That's, when I got out of jail, I had an 858 credit score.
Oh, yeah. So you practice what you preach.
I got out, but I never had a credit card. What I did is I had a cousin that had a great credit score. He had an 820 something. I said, hey man, put me on a couple of your credit cards. I said, you ain't even got to give me the card. You keep the cards. And he put me on there and it built my score up. So when I got home, I had this 758 credit score, which was pretty good. Yes. You know, it wasn't great. But I did credit for people while I was in jail. I was teaching, like girls was writing me, want to be my girlfriend. I'd be like, I don't need no girlfriend. But let's do this here. Let's do this here. Let's build your credit up. I'm gonna teach you how to go buy some houses and we're gonna make some money together. Because I knew that us as business partners would last longer than us in a girlfriend and boyfriend relationship, because most women, I don't know, they don't really know how to handle, you know, the relationship with a man of my, you know, of my stature, of my lifestyle, because I live a certain lifestyle. You know, they say I'm spoiled. You
see the kind of
you know, because I expect a woman to do certain things, you know, and if she doesn't do those things, then I like smart women. Let me say that there. I don't care how pretty you are, how nice your ass is. You know, I'm not really. I mean, I like it. I like to see those too. You know, I like those qualities, but I'm more attracted to the brilliance. You know, the entrepreneur. Because I think that a woman financially should be able to do the same thing a man do. Why should you allow a man to make $1 million when you could do it? It ain't no heavy lifting, you know. If it was some heavy lifting, then I'd be like, oh no, you can't do that. Well, you can't do what he doing. You can't run as fast as him, but you should be able to think just as well as he thinks.
Yeah, no, definitely. So to even have that, of course, as you didn't know who Joe Rogan was, and really give you the t-shirt idea. And like I remember in your story, you said somebody actually came up to you and gave you.
Yeah, I wasn't even gonna do the t-shirt idea. I mean, when I left Joe, I was like, man, this dude, man. And my partner, he called me yesterday too. He saw it. The one who went with me to the Joe Rogan the first time. He's a lawyer, young lawyer.
Okay.
You know, he's the one when we used to go to all the movie meetings and they would be like, man, when you gonna get a real lawyer? This is what the white guys used to say. He's the black guy, right? He graduated from UCLA, top of his class, smart dude. Antonio Moore, I'll tell you who he is. Antonio Moore, he got his own podcast, doing good with his podcast now. More political stuff. When I left Joe, I wasn't gonna do no t-shirt. I'm like, man, this dude talking about do a t-shirt. I'm out here broke as a joke. I ain't got nothing to start with, you know? And then I run into this guy, Rick Clark, and I didn't know who Rick was, man, but he was just a cool white boy, and he said, man, I got the idea, and I'll do everything for you, you know? And when he told me the name, the real Rick Ross is not a rapper, I thought that was the corniest shit in the world. I was like, fuck, the real Rick Ross is not a rapper, corny ass shit. But let's go, let's do it anyway, you know? I kept an open mind.
Yeah.
And he did it. He gave me my first 100 t-shirts. I sold all of them in one day. And I was like, fuck, this guy might be on to something.
Listen. For those who are in the garment sales or the t-shirt sales business, it's very lucrative. It's very lucrative.
I agree. And I would go, I'd be standing in front of Ralph's supermarket, selling my shirts. The security guard would be like, man, you ain't supposed to be here doing that. I'd be like, all right, I ain't gonna be here long. And then I'd hit him and I'd go to the liquor store and do the same thing. And then I go to Roscoe's Chicken. When I found out about Roscoe's Chicken and Waffle, that become like a feeding ground for me because people was coming from out of town. The first place they want to go is Roscoe's. Oh yeah, this is where they at? I'm gonna be standing right here at the door and they would buy those shirts.
Yeah, mind you, what year is this when you first started producing the shirts? What year was it?
I don't know, maybe 2010.
Okay. So that's like a year after you got out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Rick Ross himself, the rapper, he's about half a decade into maybe rapping right then. I think.
Yeah, he was doing really well then. When I got out, he was doing really well. He was coming off the first album, I think. every day I'm hustling, you know, that was that was all over the place. And then, you know, I gave him some ammunition too when I filed a lawsuit. You know, he came with, I think I'm Big Meech, Larry Hoover, hallelujah. So, you know, he had something that he could kind of like fight with. You know, me and him was kind of going through the law. I filed a lawsuit on him. When I filed a lawsuit on him a couple months later, that's when the Big Meech Larry Hoover came out. And most people didn't catch what happened, what he was doing. He was basically saying that I could have used anybody else's name other than yours. And you know, I didn't have the voice to tell him, motherfucker, why you didn't use him? You call yourself Larry Hooper now. And then he did, and he got in trouble about that. Hey, the GDs got on his head about that.
So what are your thoughts when you see that he says, I didn't get my name from you, I got it from, you know, being, you know.
Oh, I know that's a lie. I know that's a lie. See, I called him before he blew up. You know, I was messing with the music business. Yeah. I was in the music business already, you know, helping people do videos and finding artists, helping them get hooked up with executives. Because, you know, I met Jimmy Iovine, but I didn't know what to ask Jimmy for. So I never asked him for anything. I just took the meeting and walked out the meeting, you know, like, hey, nice to meet you. Knowing that I would come back later on. So I was already in the industry, and then when my story hit the news, I started meeting all these reporters and magazine people. So my guy was working at Smooth Magazine, and I'm calling everybody, man, who know this dude? Because one of my little dudes, I had a book club when I was in prison, and we all studied together, and they would bring me magazines. If an article came out about music, real estate, any of the avenues that I was in, they would bring me the article. So this young kid run down the hallway one day, man, this dude using your name. And I was like, damn, he ain't even called me and said nothing. So I got on the phone. I started calling everybody. Alcoholics, King T, Fade, Adrian Miller, Paul Stewart. Everybody I knew was in the music business. Man, who know this dude? So none of them knew him because he was so new. Yeah. You know, he was more, back then, he was down south. He was down south famous. He wasn't
worldwide. Yeah, I mean,
he wasn't worldwide. Yeah, he wasn't nationwide yet. You know, the girl, Beverly, what's her name from the little Southern magazine? She was pumping him. I can't think of the magazine. But anyway, I called my boy from Smooth Magazine, who was from New York, because I figured, man, he must be more on the East Coast than on the West Coast. So I called my boy from Smooth Magazine. I was like, man, you know this dude here, man, who know this dude? I need to talk to this dude. He said, man, he's gonna be in my office Monday at 9 o'clock. He said, call here at 9 o'clock, I'm gonna let you talk to him. So I called at 9, he didn't tell him who I was, he just handed him the phone. So he got on the phone, I said, hey man, how you doing? And he was like, oh, I'm cool, who is this? I said, this is Rick Ross. He said, oh man, I love you, man. And he just started telling me the whole story about how he had did some mixtapes and dropped my name. And when he did, all of his partners' ears perked up, and it was crazy. And gave me his phone number, and we talked one time after that, and I was like, well, you know, man, you need to sit down in person. Because, you know, when I was in jail, I used to get in trouble for doing business on the phone. And they would take my phone, they would take my mail. You know, I didn't want to be without my mail and my phones. And, you know, I used to get them pictures from the girls. And so, I don't know if you remember Esther Baxter, the little vixen, the video vixen.
Oh, yeah.
She used to write me all the time.
Even for credit or just...
No. We was just friends, you know, just talking on the phone and, you know, writing in the letters, and she was sending me pictures. So she told me, oh, I'm going to be in your boy's video next week, and I'm going to tell him about us. And he just said some foul shit like, oh, why you writing him? You could have anybody you want, and you talking to a motherfucker in jail. And I was like, that motherfucker said that? And so when I first talked to him, it was a whole different story, though, you know, because he didn't have no bodyguards, and, you know, he in the office with 3 or 4 dudes. He don't know who these dudes are. He don't know if they my boys or what's going to happen to him. So he was a little shook. And I could tell, then I was a phone expert. I mean, I could talk to you on the phone. I could tell if you were sick, you know, by the tones of your voice. Because when you're in jail, the phone becomes like your number one toy. The phone was my number one toy. We only got 300 minutes a month. So when you get on the phone for them 300 minutes, you really, really appreciate it being on that telephone.
That's real. So when him speaking to you, of course he's gonna play it right. When you actually file a lawsuit, he doesn't shake your hand.
Oh no, we take his deposition. We fly down to Miami, we take his deposition, and we're in a room. You know, Universal had like 15 lawyers. Universal wasn't Universal wasn't trying to lose that lawsuit. They were like, man, we ain't losing this one. We're not gonna give this Negro, it's fresh out of jail. We don't know what's on his mind. We're not gonna give him this money that they saying we owe them. So they fought hard. So we walk in the room. It was about 8 or 9 of us in there, you know, lawyers. I had my 2 lawyers, and me and him was the only ones in there that wasn't lawyers. And he walked around the table and shook everybody's hand in the table, and then he bought everybody in the lobby chicken.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Yeah, he bought everybody, because you know, I had about 3 or 4 of my friends was with me, so he bought everybody in their chicken, and you know, I'm vegan, so I don't want that shit no way. So he just walked around, and then I got up to shake his hand because I didn't have no hard feeling. I just said, motherfucker, give me my money. That's all I want, you know. And I stuck my hand out, and he did, you know, some of those shit and turned around and went the other way. So I was like, yeah, okay, you real corny.
Shit. Oh shit. And the judge ended up not siding with you. Not
Yeah, she was wrong. You know, the judge was dead wrong. The law says, when was the first time? She had to start a date, because there was no date when the statute of limitations starts. So what she did is she had to pick a date. So she picked a little radio station somewhere around Miami that first played his record. And that was a date that she said that the public first became aware that he was using the name. And she said that I should have known that date that he was using my name, and that's the date that my lawsuit had to start. The 2 years started to run in. I missed the date by 5 days before I got out of prison. I should have filed the lawsuit 5 days before I got out of prison.
Damn, when you look at that, it's technicalities.
Yeah. But you know, she used to work for Universal.
Yeah, they're all in it together. They have a lot of shit together.
And then they said that Universal was so big that we probably wasn't going to be able to find a judge that didn't have some type of tie to Universal Music. So, you know, we were stuck in between the rock and a hard spot.
So I have to ask you that because, you know, this goes into the politics of things. What's your take on, like, Trump getting found guilty, having a felony on his name, and then you also have Biden on him, and of course, his son has his issues, and Biden's getting old. What are your thoughts on just the politics now? You know, again,
well, we getting to see really, I mean, you look at blacks, man, we got guys, you know, my first cellie was 18 years old when he went to prison. He got caught with 2 ounces of crack cocaine. They gave him 20 years. He didn't get bail. So we're seeing that there's a double standard for which I always knew. You know, I mean, I didn't always know, but once I was sitting inside of the jail, I started to learn that there was a double standard, that they treat blacks one way and they treat everybody else different. There was a RAM report that I read when I was in jail. And I don't know if you know who RAM is, but RAM is like a watchdog from Washington, D.C. that keeps stats on everything that happens. And in their report, they said that if a white guy, black guy, and a Spanish guy go to prison with the same background, with the same amount of drugs, the white guy gonna get the least amount of time, the Spanish guy gonna get the next least amount of time, the black guy gonna get punished the hardest. And all that, I believe, is because of the way that the media has betrayed us to be these raving mad gang members, gun toters, womanizers, abusers. And that gives them the right to do whatever they want to do to us. I mean, technically, Trump should have been in prison. He should be on his way to prison. He shouldn't have got bail.
Yeah. Should have, right there, handcuffed him, walked him in the back, and then but now he's at a rally to, of course, run for president in a couple months.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on.
And they say that black guys is gonna vote for him. You know, they saying now that we're gonna help get him in there. I mean, I really don't get all the way into the politics, you know, because it don't matter who is in president. I'm gonna win.
Yeah,
you know?
Right. When they had the war on drugs, was that after your era? When they started?
No, we started the war on drugs.
Yeah. So, were you paying attention to politics then?
No, I didn't know. I got lucky. I got lucky, really, right? With the crack law, when they changed the crack law in '87, I got lucky. The cops that the fake rapper say that I snitched on, well, I got lucky because they was crooked. They was planting drugs on us, lying on search warrants, lying to judges. I mean, they was doing everything they can to get me. I mean, they was obsessed with putting me in prison. So when they was doing that, after they had planted 2 kilos of cocaine on me one night, because they couldn't even see me. You know, I was so cold on their ass, they couldn't even see me. So the first time they ever got a glimpse of me, they didn't catch me that night. I got away from their ass. They planted 2 keys and said that I dropped the 2 keys on the ground and ran. So they put $1 million bond out. I had to go to jail. You know, they put armed and dangerous and all kind of stuff on the news. So when they did that, when I beat that case, because I wound up beating the case, I moved out of town. Because I was selling crack in California. I was cooking that shit up in fucking beakers. I had fucking spoons big as boat oars cooking up crack. So when I moved to Cincinnati, they didn't want crack. They wanted powder.
Yeah.
So when I first went down there, I took crack. And they were like, we don't want that shit. We don't want it cooked up. We want ours in powder form. So now I ain't selling crack no more. I'm selling powder. Had I been selling crack, I would have got a life sentence right there on the spot, no question, because they indicted me for 49 keys a month in Cincinnati. I thought I wasn't even doing nothing. I'm like, shit, I ain't even selling dope no more. Yeah. You know, this pocket change, right? Yeah. But the good thing is that it wasn't crack. And then when I got indicted, it wasn't for crack, it was for powder. So I was able to cut a sweet deal.
When you were selling crack, did you have any crack commandments or anything like that? Did you sit down with your team and be like,
don't get high, yeah, don't smoke it.
That was it?
That was it. That's the only thing you needed to do back then to get rich selling crack was don't smoke it.
Did you have any guys that started smoking it that you just saw like, oh, shit?
A lot of my friends smoked.
So they out the business, they gone.
Not necessarily, no, you know, because I had one of my best friends smoked crack. I mean, this was like probably at one time tighter than any of my brothers, you know. And shit, he was so cold. He'd come over your house and steal all the guns. He'd come over there and hibernate, you know, like he'd be out for weeks and we don't see him, and then he'd be like, come dragging to the house, man, I need a shower, I need some food. And, you know, you let him in, go in there and take a shower and sleep in that bedroom, and then you come back a couple days later, you know, where Cruz at? All the guns gone. But if I ever called him,
he coming.
He coming. Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? You better not do nothing to me, because if I call Cruz, he on one, you know? So, you know, when you got friends like that, and that's what I told him the other day, that in order to fight this crack epidemic or any kind of drug addiction, in my personal opinion, you got to do it with love. You can't do it with judgment, you know, with punishment. It just don't work.
Man, that's real. That's the words that got you kind of jammed up was how much?
Yeah, on that last tape. But you know, they played on my weakness, see, because I wasn't planning on selling dope. See, I had a plan. You know, I found the alcoholics.
Yeah.
While I was in jail. So I knew that I could do this record business. I knew Dick Griffey, Otis Smith, and Berry Gordy is the reason that I'm not the king of hip hop. I remember when Russell Simmons was running around broke. I was a multimillionaire.
So you had the money right?
Huh? I remember when my partner was Don Canillas' personal bodyguard. He's the guy that came up with the Soul Train Awards. He invented the Soul Train Awards.
Oh, damn.
You know what I'm saying?
This your partner, right?
We went to high school together. He was like my bodyguard in high school. He slapped a football player one time. We were sitting at the table because we all played tennis. So this big old football player came up. It was a milk sitting on the table, and he was playing a joke because I was a little dude in high school. And he took his hand and smashed the milk, and the milk got all over me. Big Red jumped up and slapped the shit out of him right in the chow hall, with the cafeteria because we was in high school. Reggie took that and became one of the biggest bodyguards. And I mean, he was Michael Jackson's bodyguard. He was Quincy Jones's bodyguard. And he started off as Don Canillas' bodyguard, but he later became one of the producers of Soul Train. And he invented the Soul Train Awards.
Where's he at now?
He died about 1.5 years ago.
Oh.
He was also the producer Extra.
Oh, man. Jeez, he went on to good life.
Yeah, I mean, he never sold crack. He never got into crack. And he begged me to get into the entertainment business. And I did, but I didn't go with him. I went with Otis Smith because, you know, Otis, that's another story. It's in my book. All this is in my book, too. Otis used to take care of me when I was a kid, when I played tennis. Otis had kids that he was raising to be tennis stars, and he would pay me $20 an hour to go and play tennis with his kids. And he was driving a Rolls Royce in the 70s, but I'm only 16 years old. I don't have enough sense to say, man, what do you do for a living? You know? So anyway, when I started balling, one day I'm relaxed, I want to go relax, so I go, it's a tennis match, the pro tennis is in LA. So I'm gonna go out to the matches and just chill by myself. I'm just out there chilling by myself. And when I get to the court, I was like, damn, that dude look like little Otis. He done grew up, he's playing at UCLA, number 2 at UCLA now. And in the ball, I'm like, damn, I helped that kid. You know, I feel good about myself. You know, that kid is a pro. So he started arguing with a dude who played for Stanford. This great big old white boy, they start arguing, and he's the only black on UCLA team. But you know, Stanford all white, so they all like, man, fuck that shit, you know, we're gonna beat your ass. And I was like, huh, you gonna beat little Otis ass? Don't you know little Otis like my little brother? You talking about beating his ass? I got on my phone, I had my cell phone back then. One of the few people had the cell phones. I called my dude, hey man, some white boys finna jump on me down here, I'm at Woo Park. And man, it's about back then it was about a 15-minute drive. Man, them dudes was riding motorcycles, and I heard motorcycle skidding and all kind of. So they jumped the fence, they don't pay, and as soon as I see my cousin Bear from Tyler, you know, Hall Puckwood all his life, he running with the helmet in his hand, and the dude hit Big Otis in the eye. And I see the stuff come out of his eye, he hit him so hard. And Bear looked at me, and I said, yeah. Man, Bear caught that dude with that helmet, running full speed, 260 pounds, Puckwood hauling, hay hauling. And man, he hit that dude so hard, blood went everywhere. So they just whooped the whole Stanford team. It's probably in the newspaper. You probably can find it in the newspaper. Nobody went to jail. I wound up being a hero because I broke it up because they was gonna whoop them boys, you know. And that's how I started messing with Otis. And then Otis told me about Anita Baker, which he didn't give me her name at that time. He just said, I got this girl from Detroit, sing like a mockingbird, and you need to come in with me.
So you got a chance to get on Anita Baker?
No, I paid for Anita Baker's first album.
Oh.
I paid Patrick Moulton to produce her album. I gave Otis the money. I didn't give him the money, I gave the money to Otis. I gave Otis the money that he paid Patrick Moulton to promote her album. To produce her album.
And you wanted, that was just you giving it as for?
No, I was supposed to have been part owner of Beverly Glen Music, but I didn't want to put my name on no paperwork. So when she jumped the label, I paid for the lawyer to fight the lawsuit when she jumped the label, and then I went to jail.
So real quick, at that time, you had got out the drug business for a while.
No, I was still in the drug business.
You were still So did you ever take a hiatus for like a couple months? Because when they got you, were you in it right?
No. When the lawsuit was going on, I was out. I've been out. But when I started doing that, they had been asking me to get out, but I was like, shit, y'all want me out? Shit, y'all getting money from me. If I get out, how I'm gonna get y'all money? Y'all ain't got no money. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're supposed to pass it forward when you can start doing something.
Yeah, if I would have been able to get some money, I could have got out, but I wasn't making no money. I didn't see them making no money, so I didn't take their advice. But Otis, Dick Griffey, and Berry Gordy, all of them was like, man, with what Otis tell us about you, you can run the record business. And they was the first independent record dudes. These are the dudes that come from do your research on the record business. Dick Griffey owned Solar Records. He found Babyface, The Deal, Midnight Star. Otis found Johnny Taylor, Bobby Womack. He did Patti LaBelle's comeback record that she did with somebody. I go in their office, they got all these gold and platinum, you know.
Right.
And then I also was messing with DJ Pooh now.
Oh, before Friday and all that. Oh, this
was before NWA. Wasn't no NWA then.
Yeah. This is for all that.
Yeah, this was before all that.
Damn, man, you could have been right. Man, Rick, I hate that.
But they told me hip hop was a fad. It was like, don't do this record here. Don't do hip hop.
It's beyond a fad now. It's beyond a fad now. Multi-billion-dollar business. So with that being said, the person who actually, it was an informant who got you locked up, right?
My drug supplier.
Drug supplier. How long have you known him?
Oh, I don't know, 6 years, 7 years.
When did you think they got you? Like a year before, maybe a couple months before?
Oh, no, when he got me, I've been knowing him almost 20 years then. Because remember, I went to prison and got out of prison.
Early on, yeah.
I got out of prison. So I had went to prison. I had known him from when we sold drugs together, but then when I got out of prison, he had become an informant while I was gone. Yeah, so I've been knowing him probably like 12 years, maybe.
What is your stance now on snitching? Has it changed, or is it just...
I mean, snitching go with the game. You know, that's part of drug dealing. You know, if you think that you're gonna get into drugs and ain't nobody gonna snitch on you, you know, you gotta twist it.
That's kind of like a false sense of, it seems like a setup for someone to snitch on you. Like you don't do so good.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the government uses. You know, they use its informants. They use paid informants. Man, I read the case about the coldest black informant that it is. You know, dude out of he was out of St. Louis. You know, he set up a couple of my friends to come to LA and wiped LA out. This dude made $5 million from snitching.
Snitching? Shit. Okay, don't, let's not motivate. Let's not motivate.
Well, I mean, it's like this here. If you think that you out here and you're doing it, and if they don't have a weapon for you, you're wrong.
There you go. They gonna, as much as you try to escape them, they try to catch you.
Exactly.
Let me ask you real quick your thoughts on Diddy. Now, when I ask you about Diddy, I'm going from a sense that you being at the heights of where you were at, making that much money, not profit, but of course you're making a lot of money, to where power does seem to kind of corrupt some black men, to where they might start getting more lax in, with what they do with their power. What are your thoughts on Diddy as far as what he's being accused for? Of course, it's all alleged, but what he's been accused for, having to fight these lawsuits. What do you think that does to a man in his sense with the power that he had? Because the money comes, but the power is there.
Well, power corrupts, and some people can't handle power. I've seen a lot of people where power drive them crazy. I mean, even right now today, I see people that they get a little power and it just like, it fucks them up. They don't understand how to stay humble and just enjoy the moment, With me, I get a kick out of seeing other people do well, and then some people get a kick out of seeing other people do bad up under their feet. And I believe that that's what Puffy was doing. You know, he couldn't understand that he would have been a bigger guy if he'd have been building people up instead of taking them down. You know, some of the things that I hear he did, to me, was retarded.
Did you ever have a sense of that you were above the law? Do you ever have a sense that you were above the law now?
I don't think the law could have caught me if they'd have played by the rules. You know, if they'd have did what they were supposed to do, surveilled me. You know, because the cops are supposed to surveil you. You know, they're not supposed to just go to the judge and say, "Hey, I saw him carrying a bag of dope in the house, and this is the house that he's supposed to be carrying the dope in." Yeah. So I had a sense that I only had dope 15 minutes a day. So they had a 15-minute-a-day window, and then I didn't touch the dope either. You know, I wouldn't touch the dope. I wouldn't carry it. Literally, my job was go to breakfast. Guys would come to breakfast. They tell me how much money they had. I would tell them, okay, go to this house, drop the money off, count the money with the money counters, and I would call you when it was time to pick up. And I would do everybody at the same time. I would have all my guys. Basically, what we would do, we would get a van, and we would pull on a street, you know, a black street, nice neighborhood. Cars would pull up to the van. I'd have some young guys, probably like 14, 16 years old. They would jump out the van with duffel bags, throw the van in the trunk of somebody's car. That car would pull off, another one would pull up, and we would do that until we sold out.
Yeah, that's an operation. That you came with that operation? That was.
Yeah, I put that together. But my job was to make sure that we stayed running.
Yeah.
Undetected. And we moved around. So, you know, today we might have the meetings on this side of town, and tomorrow we in Westwood, and then the next day we in Long Beach. So we moved around, so it wasn't easy for them to figure out what we was doing. So they got frustrated.
Yeah, but I say if I was a cop, I'd be frustrated. And I'll start taking it personal. I'm like, shit.
Well, that's what they did. That's why when they caught me, they beat me in the head with flashlights. They let the dog bite me while I was handcuffed. They had my feet tied up. I was handcuffed, and they let the dog bite me. All around my legs, you know, I had dog bites. All these scars in my face, all of these are flashlight therapy from where the cops was hitting me in the head while I was handcuffed.
You can't do nothing about that. That's just back in the day. That's just how it worked back.
I mean, you know, we sued them. They gave me a settlement, you know, $60,000 settlement for it. But, you know, it was like, and that was like nothing for what they did.
Yeah, not for real. All right, I definitely want to touch on as far as the business you're in now, man. You got into the boxing business. You're in a lot of businesses.
Yeah. I'm in about, I don't know, Echo say about 7 to 8 different businesses.
Okay.
But boxing is one of my fetishes, you know. The weed business, you know, I'm laughing at the weed business right now because, you know, I'm finna chop all the weeds down. You know, it's gonna be my business, and just to think of the kind of numbers that they playing with is like, you know, why don't nobody else want to be in here?
Yeah, how is the dispensary business now?
Mine is slow.
I don't hear about it as much.
My business is, you know, I just opened up with one. I opened one 5 months ago, so it's a little slow. I'm about 25 people from being what I call stable, you know, meaning that I don't have to put no money in it. It'll just take care of itself. Yeah. And that's where I need to be. But I'm coming up with some ideas and stuff that's going to like wreck the industry. I don't know. I just got to do stuff like that. It just turns me on to like outdo everybody, you know, like playing chess, you know, like.
Are you based in LA? Because again,
I'm based in LA.
Okay. Do you want to go outside of LA? Because again, you know, sometimes the market is where you could win you can gain your notoriety.
Well, I've had my brand in 5 states already. You know, I was one of the main people pushing social equity. You know, I helped open up Chicago. One of my guys, young Cab, rest in peace, who was in my book club when I was in prison at Texarkana, was the first guy in Oklahoma to open up a dispensary. So I've been helping people all around the country do the business. But yeah, right now I just want to California's the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
You know, we grow the best weed in the world. Everybody want Cali weed. So I really want to put my grip around Cali.
Okay. Bring it all the way back. With that being said, you did bring one of your fighters with you today.
One of my new signees, yes, sir.
Man, Xavier. I definitely want to bring him in and have him sit down and promote what he has going on as well. If I don't mind, go and come in.
Come on, X.
Turn. You want?
Yes, sir. Yeah, turn it on. Sure.
Come on, X, get in here. One. And we got a win. And we got another win this weekend in New Jersey. My man Jason Moreno, 2-0. Y'all know too, Kid Austin was on the Mike Tyson undercard. Yeah. You know, I told y'all about him when nobody knew Kid Austin. Nobody wasn't messing with him. I told y'all about him. Now you see where he at. And this is my new guy right here from Texas. Texas own. That's why I had to work with him. He from Texas too.
Texas own. X, go ahead and introduce yourself if you don't mind.
My name is Xavier Washington. Like you said, home, Dallas, Texas, born and raised. And man, you know, I'm fighting at 160 right now and looking to get down to 154. And you know, that's where we're gonna be campaigning at, become champion at.
You're kind of tall to be fighting at 154, man. Yeah. Like, are you the tallest in your weight class from the people that you kind of already went against, or just taller than you?
Yes, sir. I'm pretty tall. You know, that's kind of the advantage that we're looking for. You know, we're trying to get every advantage that we can. So, you know, I'm looking down there to cause havoc down there.
Okay. If you don't mind, what part of Texas are you from?
I'm from the Cedar Hill area.
All right, Cedar Hill. How is because you know, of course, we have Earl Spence out of Dallas-Fort Worth area as well. What is the like when it comes just to boxing, Golden Gloves? I know in Texas, it's a very Hispanic-driven sport as well. For you, do you see more young black men getting into the sport of boxing?
Yeah, it's always like a mix. Of course, I feel like the Hispanics, you know, they kind of take over the boxing scene and amateurs, but definitely it's kind of mixed right now.
Okay.
Well, they take over everything.
Yeah, they take over. I mean,
well, California too. Cali too. I mean, in boxing, you know, they making the most money really. You know. Everybody want to have them. I'm trying to get my first signee, you know?
Okay, you mean you're trying to get a Hispanic? Just
absolutely.
Yeah, it leads that way. For you yourself, do you mind talking? How many fights have you had? We're not gonna talk record yet. How many fights have you had, amateur-wise?
I had a little bit over 30. Over 30, yes, sir.
When did you start kind of growing into your own as far as just being like, all right, let me start figuring, I kind of got this thing figured out?
I would say about year 2 when I was boxing. You know, it took me a little minute to, you know, get adjusted. I was always naturally, I'm an athlete. I used to play football. So, you know, from a physical standpoint, it was a little bit easier for me. Picked up on it real quick. But, you know, the experience of being there with some of the top guys, you know, in the amateur system, you know, at first they were kind of, you know, beating me just off pure experience. You know, I was right there with them skill-wise, physical-wise, but their experiences, the little things, they would beat me and they would cause, you know, to get over me. But after a while, toward the end, you know, around pretty much the Olympic trials, you know, I was right there getting with them.
There you go, Rick. What did you see in them as far?
Well, we met at the Olympic trials. You know, he went to the semifinals. I thought he won the fight that they say he lost. You know, had he won that fight, he'd have been in the finals with an opportunity to go to the Olympics. And what I found out from boxing, which a lot of people may not know, is that the guys who usually win the Olympics don't wind up being necessarily the best pros because there's a certain style of fighting. You know, I mean, look at Tank now. You know, Tank didn't go to the Olympics, but he's the biggest guy in boxing right now. And I know that Xavier has that same type of opportunity. You know, because he did really well in the amateurs, but he wasn't, you know, the guy that they sent to the Olympics. And there's a couple other guys that should have went to the Olympics that they don't. I mean, it's so many politics with the amateur U.S. boxing right now, and you know, I'm gonna try to reverse all that. That's my job to come in here and make sure that these guys get a fair shot.
There you go. Let me ask you, what are your thoughts on Earl Spence getting back in the ring with Terrence Crawford? What are your thoughts on that? Should that happen?
Yeah, I definitely think it should happen. Definitely now 147 again. I'm glad he's moving up to 54. I think he outgrew that division. He was there a little bit too long. But of course, he was chasing. That's a big fight, you know, that he had been chasing a long time. But, you know, I'm all for it, you know, and that's one thing he wants it. So that's one thing, you know, he's not just doing it, just chasing it because other people want it, because then, you know, you already defeated. But, you know, that's something that he wants to do. So I'm all for it. And, you know, I think it's going to be a tough fight for sure. But I think he can beat him.
You think he want that? You think he want Terrence?
Oh man, I think he wants Terrence. Man, he's a competitor, man.
You know what? You know what? Me and Joe was talking about that with Agent Bronner, and you know we was talking about a guy can't take off, you know, and then you go fight a guy who ain't took off. You know, Terrence don't take off.
Yeah.
You know, Terrence don't chase women.
Yeah.
Terrence don't drink.
Hey.
You know, Terrence think fun is wrestling.
Right. He about his business.
Yeah. So you know, you talk about a whole other animal, man. I remember I met Terrence. First time I met Terrence was here in Dallas. You know, Kid when Kid fought. I forgot who he fought, but we was at the Virgil Ortiz card. Yeah. And Terrence was there, and I had Anthony Peterson with me. You know, I managed Anthony Peterson too, Lamont Peterson's younger brother. Who's 39 and 1. So Terrence saw him and he came over to us and started talking, and I was able to hold Terrence's fist. You know, I wanted to feel that fist, man. Yeah. That boy's fist feel like a sack of rocks. You know, and it's big too. It's like unnormally big. Like, man, you hit people in the head with that thing, man.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. I'm picking Terrence against Canelo. I ain't a betting man, right? I'm betting on that fight.
Oh, he say bet. He gonna put down $2 for those. $2. All right, definitely. Well, let me get your thoughts on Adrian Broner's comeback fight that he just did a week ago. He lost a tooth and everything, man. Like, what are your thoughts on that? He was talking a lot of noise. Yeah, man. So he sold the fight. I'm talking about gangsters. We gangster too, man. He's like, we gonna pull up. We got shooters. I'm like, well, you trying to sell a fight?
Yeah, man, it hurt my heart, man. It hurt my heart. I'm not gonna lie to you, man, because, you know, I'm a big Adrian Broner fan, man, you know.
I was too. Yeah. And then he walked in the ring with Step Rock. Yeah. Did you see who he came in the ring with? He came in the ring with a dude can't sell 10,000 records, man. I like, they said his last show was 20 people there. I'm like, man, how you come in here with this dude here? Don't even know nobody fuck with this dude no more.
Damn, the writing was on the wall.
And that party gave what's the name? Wolf Strength. Like, damn, this dude, he really slipping.
Does it matter? Would you say it matters who you walk out the ring with?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's just supposed to motivate you, I guess, some kind of way.
Yeah, it's an energy thing. It's an energy thing.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Sometimes it don't work that way. Dallas, they was very finicky about, and shout out Big X the Plug. They were like worried about like Eminem coming out with Crawford, and Big X wasn't known at the time, so they're like, who is this guy? Where Earl Spence came out, so they was worried about like that kind of set it off. And again, a fighter should train.
Big X is dope, though. Big X, he let me hear Big X the other day, man. Big X is dope.
At the time, no one knew Big X. Now they know.
He cracking now.
So I think that fight might have took Big X like to another level, just because they were wondering who is this guy, and then he took off.
Because Earl was on top of the world.
When you're undefeated, in a sense to where you get to pick and choose the fights, and that's when you like I need one fight a year, and I can pick and choose who I want. I don't know if he was gonna duck Crawford the whole time, but that fight was gonna be huge regardless. And now, of course, the Canelo fight going forward. Earl he's one fight away from getting right back up there. Maybe 2 fights away. Yeah, maybe 2 fights away. Let me ask you about Tank's fight yesterday. He won in a decisive manner. What are your thoughts on Tank as of right now?
Man.
That's another Texas boy got beat.
Yeah. Give me a hard time, man. You know, I was rooting for Frank, man. You know, he's not originally from Dallas, but he's on the Earl Spence banner, so you know he representing Dallas. I'm home team. I don't care who they go against. So, you know, I was rooting for him, and he did good, man. He did good. You know, I think
Tank just an animal, man. He a different dude, man.
Yeah. When you got that much power,
and now they say he focused, man. Yeah. I mean, he was doing all that when he wasn't focused. Now you know he done took that thing to a whole nother level, man.
Yeah, man. Okay. Well, for those who want to see you fight, want to maybe check out just some boxing videos or whatever, how can they peep you? How can they see your work, and how can they anticipate what you have coming up?
Man, they can follow me on my Instagram at XavierW85. I'm also on YouTube as well. Got some of my amateur fights on there right now. I'm having my pro debut here pretty soon, July 13th in Houston at the Red Owl Boxing facility. So, that's where they can get in contact with me.
All right, man. We're gonna be excited. We're gonna follow your journey, man. Some people, they come sit on this couch and they go off to do great things.
Yeah, yes,
so we're gonna follow your journey, man. We appreciate it, man. You can hop off. We're gonna have you in and grab that book for Rick real quick. We want to make sure we promote. All right, there you go. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right, Rick, real quick. On this book, man. This is your. This is my
autobiography.
Yeah. Is this you? How many books have you?
I got 3 books right now out. Yeah, and I'm working on 2 more.
The autobiography, is it closer to your? I know you also did they did a documentary on you.
Yep.
Which one, for those who want to actually, of course, I know we're going to push the book, but for those that do want to kind of take in what your life story was, is it all encompassing where they got to watch the documentary?
Well, the book is more in depth. The documentary was like, people only saw 3 hours of the documentary, but we probably had 20 hours of footage that we didn't even use. So, with TV, they only going to show so much, even with the streaming companies, Netflix only shows so much. I think it's on Prime right now. They only going to show so much. So the book is more in depth. It describes more of the scenery, and it takes you back in the time. The doc kind of does that, but not to the way that the book does.
And before we get out of here, I want to just touch on that time real quick because, and thank you for kind of painting a picture of how even the organization was ran and how you got to your money. Because people today, and again, these are young people, we're not trying to sway anybody to do this. Again, this different era. But to make as much money as you did per day, what was like a day in the life for you at the height of your life, when you felt untouchable? Like, what was a day in the life like?
Well, I literally did whatever I wanted to do. I would get up every morning. We would have all the fellas. We'd have breakfast at one of the main restaurants in LA, M&M's. Where you literally could win an M&M's, and it was like a dope boy festival. Everybody would meet. Everybody would be in there. All the pimps, the hustlers, the con men. Everybody was coming to that. Even the business people would come in there too. Athletes. The pro athletes would come there because, it's just something about the dope boys where everybody want to be around them, even though, in society they play like they don't like them, but they have a tendency to, even the mayor, the mayor that gave me the certificate the other day, he said he had a stint with cocaine. So many people want to be in these lanes that is really crazy, but we would wake up in the morning, and I would literally have meetings there. The waiters.
Driving there, or were you?
Yeah.
Did you have a driver?
I would drive, but I had drivers too. At times. If I didn't feel like driving, I had a driver. I had my weed roller at one time. His job was just to roll my weed for me.
Oh, he could roll weed.
Yeah, just roll weed.
He right there with you.
Yeah, just roll weed for me. So we would have breakfast. All the guys would come through. We'd do our meetings. Once I knew what they wanted, I would make my order for cocaine. While I was waiting on the people to get the cocaine together, I'd probably go to the park, shoot some basketball, maybe hit the weights a little bit. And then maybe, hit up one of my girls while I got a few minutes. Hey, what you doing? I'm coming by your crib, and then pretty much the day be over. Then they call me with the dope. We go pick the dope up. That night, around 4 o'clock in the morning, we cook it up. The next morning, serve everybody their bags.
Do you not have no worry as far as, it sounds like a normal day, like a mundane day. You not have no I'm gonna still stay on my pivot. I know they're after me, or this might be short lived, or this can't last forever.
Well, the cops didn't get after me for a while. They really just started messing with me around '84. So from like 80 to 84, I had a free reign, no police activity.
I can only imagine.
How was your attitude at this time? Were you like a mean, aggressive person, or were you always laid back and chill?
No, you know, with me, I analyzed myself. You know, when I was writing my book, and I had to always be conscious, because where I come from, dudes want to do favors for you, and in our neighborhood, a favor would be killing somebody, beating somebody up. You know, so I would always have to keep my cool, because if I ever lost my cool, somebody could get killed. You know, one of those youngsters would be glad to do something to say, yeah, I did that for you, homie. Nah, you know, I owed him.
All right, for those who want to delve into your story, the book itself, how can they access it, and how far does it go through your life as far as...
From Texas, you know.
Right, so it starts from Texas?
I started with me and my mom. As far back as I can remember is when my mom, I come in the living room, my mom was crying, and that's when Kennedy got killed.
Oh, yeah, that's 64, 63.
So I started off right around that time, and then I go from when she told me that we leaving Texas. You know, I didn't want to leave Texas. You know, I thought Texas was the greatest place in the world. And she told me we was getting on the bus, and she said we was gonna have fried chicken, and then I was like, okay, let's go.
Little did she know. Little did she know.
It starts from there, the time that I got arrested, and a little bit about when I got out of prison. But I'm working on 2 more books right now. I had to do these other books to top it off.
I remember you had said that if the rapper Rick Ross had just basically took care of what would have cost it to keep for your mom to keep her house, you would have been good with that. Like, just at the time, I want to save my mom's house.
Yeah. If they would have offered me that, I would have did it. I could have saved her house too, right? Because you know they offered me movie deals when I first got home, but I couldn't see myself. My story is bigger than my mom's house. You know, it was bigger than us being homeless for a little while. You know, I just couldn't take the $600,000 and sign all my rights over to where they could, you know, do whatever they wanted to do with my story. You know, I thought that my story was more valuable than that. I still believe that. You know, I believe that my story is gonna wreck the box office. They're gonna do numbers that they never, ever thought in their world that could be done. Because you'd have to be me to understand
what it's gonna be.
What it's gonna be, you know, like sometimes I get on the airplane and everybody in the airplane go crazy. You know, like Michael Jackson or something walked into the plane, and I never experienced that kind of, you know, feeling before. You know, get on the plane and sell a whole box of books on the airplane. You know what I'm saying? While they fueling the plane up, I'm selling books. Right. I'm signing autographs. I'm taking pictures on the airplane. I mean, it's just crazy. And, you know, from my background, where I come from, to see me getting that kind of love, I don't even understand why I get it. You know, when I spoke down in Tyler the other day, you know, I told them that I'm just thrilled that I was able to speak to them, knowing that where I came from.
Yeah, no, I'll say this, man. You know, we're in Dallas, man. There's been a lot of hustlers that's come and gone. And everyone wants to be known as a legend in whatever they do. And for your name to ring bells in the community of guys who, it's not even about selling drugs or anything, but just hustlers, or just getting to it.
Right.
With your back against the wall. No, your name and your work ethic, you know, it probably can't get duplicated in our lifetime. So technically, you're not supposed to be free to even talk to us right now.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
Due to a technicality, and I think, you know, they got you. They already kind of fucked up when they got you in there in the first place. But because you're out here, you're sitting down, you're free. I only feel like your story on a big screen, on the silver screen, could only, I mean, it should spawn not only movies and shows like it's already kind of doing, but your autobiography itself. It's shit.
Well, Snowfall was the biggest show on TV.
Yeah, it's like that's just a show loosely based.
Yeah, 6 million people watched every night.
Yeah, imagine if they actually have the actual story from the actual man. I can only imagine what it's going to do. So for those that do want to get a little glimpse of it, how can they get the book? Where can they find it?
Well, they can go to my website right now. You know, right now, though, y'all got to be patient because, My website been going crazy, man. That thing been like, bing, 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 bing.
That's a good product. That's a good sound.
Hey, you know, I experienced that when I first did this shirt here, and I went on Joe's show, and now it started all over again, man. That thing been going for like 4 days. I appreciate all the love that I've been getting. Don't take it wrong that I don't want y'all to come on there. Please come on there. But if you come on there, be patient with us. We're trying to keep up with all the demand that we've been getting for the T-shirts, for the book. And I just appreciate all the love, man. Thank y'all. You can follow me too at Instagram, Freeway Rick, Facebook, Freeway Ricky Ross, and Twitter, I think it's Freeway Rick. So, oh, and I got a YouTube channel too, so you can go to my YouTube channel.
Run that YouTube up.
And I'm getting ready to do my podcast. You know, Joe told me to do a podcast. I'm gonna listen this time.
That's next, yeah. That's
podcast in work, so y'all gonna see some interesting people. I'm gonna start off with some of my early friends from my childhood, as well as people that was in the game. I'm gonna try to get my first person I ever sold a rock to come on my show and talk about it.
That's gonna be a great conversation. Damn,
yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
You remember that person? You know?
Yeah, I know who they are. We tight.
Oh, that's gonna be a great conversation. I'm already tuned in. I'm already tuned in. All right, then what's the name of the podcast gonna be? What you gonna do?
It's probably gonna be called Plug Talk.
I like it.
Cause I'm the plug.
Not the original.
Floyd Mayweather. I'm talking to you. I'm the plug. I'm gonna show you who the plug is.
Oh, shout out Mayweather. He did come get you out of jail.
He picked me up, you know, but then he told me, you don't take nobody to the plug. So
right.
I got to teach him who the plug is. He didn't know. Yeah. He didn't know.
You know, it was chasing clout at the time, I guess, man. Jesus Louis.
Yeah, he was getting the street crowd on.
There you go.
And he got it cheap too.
Right. But what it's supposed to cost you.
Yeah, what it should have cost. Right now, if you did that on today, it would cost you about $40,000. You know what I'm saying? You got me when I didn't know nothing.
Yeah.
I was a virgin at this thing, but now I know. Turn them cameras on, boy, you gonna pay.
I'm gonna talk to him, man. With that being said, for those that don't know, this is the real Rick Ross, man. The story is ongoing, and we want y'all to get it right now. You know what I'm saying? Free Rick
That's
Ross.
Right. And I got 4 national champs signed this year. This year, 4 national champs. So y'all watch this boxing. Watch what I do to boxing.
Oh man,
I'm gonna turn this shit upside down. Boxing finna get turned upside down. And don't forget, go read my obituary, LA Magazine, 2013, and you'll kind of get an understanding. When you see what I'm doing now, you'll be like, oh, okay, he predicted that shit in 1998. The stuff that I'm doing right now. I'm out.
There you go, man. Rick Ross, you are a real life street star. Salute. Hey.
Shout out Reallyfe Street Stars, nigga. Move. Hey.